up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, if you are Kandi Burruss and Todd, it looks like that divorce might be messier than anyone thought. And people are saying that one of the reasons it is so messy is because Todd has figured out that Kandi finessed him. And they're saying Kandi is trying to keep the peace as best she can. But even if she can't, sources are saying that Kandi feels like, who Todd gonna tell? What's he gonna say? Nothing. Because like I said, she dotted her I's and crossed all her T's. You guys, there's a blind item that just came out that I think we need to pay attention to. It sounds to me like it's about Kandi and Todd, but the most important thing is the way it outlines the way Kandi may have finessed Todd and that production company. Todd was the creative control. Kandi was the financial control. But baby, there are assets hidden in them hills. But first, right? Let me just say this, right? First of all, there's this whole debate about Todd not being in the family photo for Kandi's Thanksgiving. So much so that Kandi went out of her way to tell us that, no, he was there earlier, but he left. To which I said, and you know I love Kandi down, Kandi, just stop. If things were so cool between y'all wouldn't be divorced. But not only that, the kids and Kayla were in the picture. So where was Todd going on? Is a strip club open on Thanksgiving? Where was Todd going on Thanksgiving that he had to leave early when both his minor kids and his oldest daughter, and I believe only daughter outside the kids, when they stayed for the picture? Where did Todd go? Did an argument erupt? Did he feel some type of way? Is he staying in the guest house? I really honestly don't know. 𝐊𝐿𝐿 on Twitter had a really good point. She said, my opinion is Kandi is scared about Todd potentially contesting the prenup and making the divorce messy. So she's desperate to keep up appearances, all right? Again, they said as far as Todd being at Kandi's for Thanksgiving and missing from the photo, I think it's something there. Because the fact that Kandi even felt the need to address it and say Todd came earlier and just left before before dinner, again, at least Kandi, I will say to her favor, she looks like she's still tight with Kayla. That's Todd's oldest daughter. Okay? Again, it is what it is. It does seem, 𝐊𝐿𝐿 goes on and says, exactly. And Kandi is hell-bent on keeping up the perfect image that it's actually making people more suspicious. Like, if she didn't say anything, everyone would just assume that the guy you're divorcing isn't really invited to Thanksgiving. But instead, she did tell, Bingeworthy was the first to point out that she told everybody last week on Amazon Live that Todd would be there for Thanksgiving dinner. Now, let's get into this blind item, because this blind item's a doozy. Hold on. All right, I just pulled the blind item up. Let's get into this. Blind item, the finesse factory. They said in a certain southern city famous for grits, glitter, and reality TV checks, a long married power couple is quietly calling it quits. Publicly. The split looks peaceful. Two adults going through it and realizing life had taken them in different directions. Privately, well, the streets are whispering something very different. According to people familiar with the couple's production empire, the marriage had been fraying for years. One partner bought the ideas, the hustle, and the creative spark. The other bought something far more dangerous: a calculator, a prenup, and a team of accountants who have never met a ledger they couldn't reshape. Sources say that while the creative spouse thought the joint production company was their shared baby, the financial spouse allegedly spent the past few years doing something much more old school, cleaning the books like a seasoned studio executive. Now keep in mind, this is a blind item rumor, but here's the rumor. The production house, on paper, began bleeding money. Expenses went up. Overhead ballooned. Equipment fees multiplied. Licensing costs suddenly appeared in line items no one remembered approving. And the debt? Oh, the debt. The streets are saying it racked up faster than a Bravo reunion fight. But the strange part? Everyone who's done business with the couple insists their projects were successful. Money was clearly floating somewhere. All right. Money was clearly flowing from somewhere. Just maybe not into the marital balance sheet. Industry veterans say they recognize the move instantly. It's called creative accounting, Hollywood edition, Atlanta remix. And now insiders claim the financial spouse filed when the timing was perfect, right after the books were organized, the debts were documented, and any marital profits have been carefully minimized by perfectly legal, perfectly boring accounting management. If the rumors are true, the creative partner didn't lose a spouse. They lost a financial war they didn't even know they were fighting. Now, here's the thing, all right? And this isn't just a gossip. This is just like a what if, right? And because we need to talk about this. Because if Todd didn't have, and who knows if this rumor is true, but if Todd didn't have full access to the books, and Don Juan don't look like he let Todd anywhere near those books, if he didn't have login to QuickBooks or accounting software, if he had no understanding of real revenue versus paper revenue, and if he had no view of any internal loans, fees, or overhead charges, and if Todd didn't control the accountants, if the accountants primarily worked for Kandi, if they primarily reported to Kandi, if they handled corporate finances for her entire empire, and if they treated the production house as just one little node in her bigger financial structure, then Todd would only saw the numbers that he was shown. And if Todd relied on profit share without understanding net profits, well, don't forget studios are notorious for calling successful projects losses, charging massive internal fees, and moving revenue to other company departments or even other companies all owned from the same person. For instance, moving profits from the production to the steakhouse, from the steakhouse to the other one. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, if Todd didn't understand how net profit participation works, he could think, yo, we didn't make any money, when in reality, the company reported no net profit. And if Todd didn't track personal versus business expenses in the divorce, misclassified expenses, commingled accounts, and business debt labeled as marital debt can destroy leverage. And if Todd didn't know the prenup's fine print, which I think he knew that prenup's fine. A lot of you guys pointed out to me that I was wrong about Kandi springing a prenup on Todd at the last minute. You guys were right. I went and rewatched that episode. She didn't spring it on him. Todd waited to the last second to sign. And he thought by waiting till the last second, Kandi would let it go. But Kandi's about her money. Thank goodness. So she didn't spring it on him the last minute. He had it for a while. He just chose to wait to the last minute to actually sign it. Thank you guys for correcting me on that. But listen to this. If Todd didn't know the prenup's fine print, the earnout clauses define what income is marital, what income stays separate, how businesses are valued, and what counts as growth. If he didn't know the mechanics, he wouldn't know what mattered in the valuation. And the valuation is what they use at the end of the marriage to split up assets. And here's the thing. If Kandi did all these legal industry standard things, okay, I'm not saying she did. This is the financial blueprint people are just speculating about. Then one, Kandi could classify certain revenue as separate. If the prenup protects her pre-existing businesses, music catalog, acting income, licensing fees, her corporation's consulting and talent fees, then revenue funneled through those channels stays outside marital assets. And two, she could charge the joint production company fees. Keep in mind, common normal legal fees include overhead, office space, equipment rental, licensing, management, branding, talent fees, consulting fees. If those are structured correctly, joint businesses could appear low profit, break even, or even in debt. Why is that important? Because Kandi actually said in her divorce announcement that she wants the prenup enforced. She wants Todd to pay child support, which is wild because Kandi has all the money. That's wild. Again, it's a little wild because Todd could actually say that since she's the bigger owner, she should pay child support. But Kandi also said that both parties accumulated a lot of debt during marriage. All right. So anyway, keep in mind this is standard film and TV accountant. 3, Kandi could load the company with production debt. Now, debt is not always bad. Sometimes it's a tax strategy. Debt could include operating loans, bridge loans, lines of credit, tax incentive float loans, and capital expenditure loans. A company with high revenue can still show a negative net profit if debt is carried forward. And she could time the filing after organizing the books. If Kandi waited, and I'm saying she did, but if she waited until the debt was fully documented, the revenue was fully allocated, and the marital year profits were minimized, and the assets were clearly separated, well, the marital pot just became smaller. And she could use this valuation timing. Businesses are valued based on net profit, debt, assets, and projected future revenue. If the books were prepared in a conservative way, the valuation of the joint company drops, which means Kandi gets to keep what's separate, he gets 50% of a much smaller number, and she carries some debt, but she protects her empire. Now, again, think of it this way. If Todd didn't track the money, and if Kandi followed standard entertainment accounting, then the financial picture at divorce could look dramatically different than the lifestyle they lived. Successful on the outside, losses on the books. Debt on paper, minimal marital assets to split. All legal, all typical entertainment, all devastating to the spouse that didn't understand. Y'all, what y'all think about this? And listen, who knows if it's true, but it looks like Kandi is desperate to keep up appearances that things are all cool and this is the most amicable split of ever. The fact that Todd did not stay for the full Thanksgiving dinner when all 3 of his children were there, where else were you going? The lemon pepper wings at that strip club are not that good. Anyway, you guys, listen, let me know what you think in the comments, but keep an eye on this space. Maybe Kandi's doing this because she doesn't want Todd to wake up, but judging by the way Todd left, is there more to the story? We're gonna have to see. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Bye.